Hello, this is Blair Phillips again here in Kansas City with the International House of Prayer. And so this Friday we are going to talk about Jesus fulfilling prophecy at His second advent, the day of which we hope and long for. And so just to consider that when Jesus walked on the earth in His first advent, there was really only a very few people who got to partake in enjoying His ministry and enjoying the revelation of Jesus as the Son of God on the earth. But at His second coming, the whole earth, every nation, tongue, and tribe will get to experience Jesus' ministry and fulfilling the words that were spoken in the Old Testament, but also in the New Testament. And so 2 Peter encourages us, 2 Peter is probably written towards the end of Peter's life, and so the end of the first century. And Peter admonished his people in chapter 3 that we were not to grow wearisome in our hearts, to listen and to keep true in our hearts the promises and prophecies of God. That we were not to count God's slackness as we do man's slackness. That to God 1 day or 1,000 years is like 1 day, and 1 day like 1,000 years. That what He speaks, even to us if it was many generations ago, is just as real in His heart as when He spoke it. And so one of the prophecies we want to look at that Jesus is still to fulfill is to glorify the city of Jerusalem. And so I invite you to open your Bibles. I'm going to be reading from Isaiah chapter 62, verse 1 through 4. It says, "For Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace." And so Zion is the city of Jerusalem. "And for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and our salvation as a lamp that burns. The Gentiles shall see your righteousness, and all kings your glory. You shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord will name. You shall also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. And you shall no longer be termed forsaken, nor shall your land any more be termed desolate, but you shall be called Hephzibah, and your land Beulah, which are Hebrew words for married and beloved. And for the Lord delights in you, and your land shall be married." And so this is one of the many beautiful passages in the Old Testament and the New Testament that speaks about God's heart to rule and reign physically from the city of Jerusalem, and for that place to be like a burning light all across the earth of the glory of God. And so in the end of Isaiah 62, the Lord talks about those who He sets as watchmen on the wall, who would declare to Him day and night that your promises are faithful and true, and that this is what you've spoken and you have not done yet, but we believe that you still will do it. And so this is one of the things we take very literally here at the International House of Prayer, is to declare the promises of God, of what He said He would do in His second coming on the earth, back to Him, because He says, "Say it to me, do not give me any rest," as it says later on in Isaiah 62. And so I want to encourage you today to consider that as part of your walk as a Christian, or as a new believer, or as someone who's considering being a believer, that the Lord desires a people who would speak the promises of God back to Him on a continual basis, to remember, and to remember for the sake of our hearts, but also to stand before Him as He says, to remind Him that this is what He said. And by doing that, we get to participate with the living God in relationship and ruling the earth. And so I want to bless you, I want to give that challenge to you, and say thank you for joining us for this Friday's video. We look forward to you joining us for Tuesday.